Maqubela you really know. I would like to add my congratulations and my welcome to Courts welcoming you to the program tonight. And I just want to share how excited we are for the opportunity to talk to you tonight and for you to hear from our students the things they love about Groton. I guess I will share one of the things I love about Groton. And that's the fact that the room we're sitting in right now, actually, it may be our living room, but it's really the school's living room. The students come to what we call parlor every Thursday evening for 45 minutes to let down their hair, to have milk and cookies and cider and apples, and to play games. Hang out with the headmaster, hang out with me. I play mean ping pong. So every time students come here, I'm challenging them to a game of ping pong. So any of you students out there, get ready. Again, welcome and congratulations. Over to you, Mr. Maqubela.
Thank you, Mrs. Maqubela. Well, you did it. Congratulations. I think with all the students who are on the fantastic students on this panel, this is a record-setting admitted crew. And that means you guys belong here. Now, I know some of you have already said yes, and those who have said yes, will say yay. And for those of you who are still deciding, you can't go wrong with any decision you make. But there's only one decision that is correct. There's only one right decision. Coming here, sitting where we're sitting, and being part of the most perfect circle we know. Now, as far as traditions are concerned, there are so many that I love, and some of them seem obscure. I love seeing students, believe it or not, playing on the circle, hanging out, just being happy, because this is a place of belonging, a place of happiness. And I also love seeing students playing music. I will go to the ends of the earth. I will go to Asia. I will go to Boston just to listen to students play. Now, they may not be as good as Coltrane, but to us, they are better than Coltrane because they are our children. After all, school is about doing our part in raising children. Yes, there are books and there's all that, but to see these faces grow in front of our eyes and become such impressive human beings makes us the happiest couple of any boarding school. I'll let you in on a secret. Her name Vuela means joy. My name Temba means hope. Our last name means progress. Come and be joyful and progress with us and hope for the future that you want, because we have dreams for you much bigger than the dreams you may have for yourselves, believe it or not. And we'll go with you, like I said, to the ends of the earth. I have this picture in Johannesburg, 10,000 miles away, and just total happiness when Zoe emerged, coming from Australia, wherever she was coming from. And we're there to welcome her, and we had lunch, and then just seeing Edwina just melting with the people who look like her, but she doesn't even know who they are, and just embracing them. So come here, you'll be embraced. And to you parents, you've done a pretty good job in raising your children. Congratulations. Wherever you send your children, pat yourselves in the back like this, because your children have an incredible opportunity. So to you all, come and be part of our circle. And we humbly understand that you have a whole lot of decisions to make, and wherever you end up, you'll be okay, and we'll all be fine. Congratulations. Over to you, Mr. Pomeroy.
Great, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us tonight. So we're going to proceed with our student panelists who are going to introduce themselves, and they're each going to share a little bit about their favorite Groton tradition. And then afterwards, you guys will have a chance for Q&A with them. So you can use the Q&A box to ask questions when they're done with their presentations. So Christina, we'll start with you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am a senior right now. Around campus, I play 2 varsity sports. I play varsity field hockey and varsity lacrosse. I'm in the jazz band, and I'm an editor for the Circle Voice.
Hey everyone, I'm Nico Bowden. I'm a 6th form day student from Concord, Massachusetts. At Groton, I play ice hockey and lacrosse. I'm an admissions prefect, a peer counselor, and the head of the computer science club.
Hi guys, I'm Edwina. I'm from New Jersey. I came in 3rd form and I'm a current 6th former. On campus, I am a captain of the STEP team. I do peer counseling and I'm also one of the school prefects.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Thomas Dempsey. I'm from Chatham, New Jersey. I came to Groton as a 4th former. I'm the captain of the hockey team, the baseball team. I'm also a peer counselor and the spirit head here on campus.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I came in 2nd form. Some of the things I do on campus are I'm a boys varsity crew coxswain, East Asian Student Alliance head, and a global education prefect.
Nice. So I'm going to kick us off with our first tradition, which is St. Mark's Day. So for those of you who don't know, St. Mark's Day is the day that we play our big rival, St. Mark's. But what you may not know is that St. Mark's Day is the end of Spirit Week. So from Monday to Friday, we have different themes on campus, and students dress up. The themes vary. They're pajama day, very, very random things like clashing patterns day, color day. Anyway, so we dress up, and usually during conference, we have minute to win it games. And these are little games like pin the tail on the zebra. And so dorms compete against each other to win dorm points. So this whole week, Spirit Week, is basically just community bonding. And in my opinion, it's one of the times that I feel like the community is most vibrant and fun, and we're all working together and dressing up, and we all just take so much pride in going to Groton. So St. Mark's Day, though, is surrounded by sports. That's the main event of the day. So every team, JV and varsity, will play against the St. Mark's teams, and we keep a tally of who wins which games. And one cool thing about that is that the JV and varsity games, each one counts for 1 point. So every game matters, and all the students go out and watch the games and cheer everyone on. And it's a really, really fun day. One of my favorite memories from St. Mark's Day is the cart pull. So I didn't mention in my introduction, but I came in 2nd form, and it's a 2nd form tradition, 2nd form and St. Mark's tradition, that if any varsity teams win their St. Mark's game, then they get pushed in this really big cart or wagon. And I just remember in my 2nd form year, the boys football team won. And so there were like 25 2nd formers and all the football boys loaded into this cart, and we had to drag them around the circle. And as a 2nd former, it was just so fun. It was a moment where I really felt like I belonged to the community, and it's just a lot of fun. So St. Mark's Day is really about pride in Groton. We compete and we have fun. So.
Thanks, Christina. Yeah, so I'm a bit of a nerd, so my favorite Groton tradition is actually an academic one. And it's one that I've really tried to take advantage of my senior year. Oftentimes, since we're sort of a small school compared to other schools of our sort of academic reputation, we get asked the question of whether or not we have the same class offerings as other larger schools. And our answer to that is this thing called a tutorial. And essentially what it is an independent study that is organized by a student with a teacher of their choosing. They can choose to have other students join it with them, and you can do it on roughly any topic you like. I have a couple here just listed to read out for you just so you get the idea. physics and sports, modernist literature, database programming, astrophotography, abnormal psychology, or even intensive Greek. The options are quite literally endless. One thing that I really appreciate about the whole tutorial tradition is that the entire thing is sort of led by the student who wants to do it. I've set up 2 for my senior year. I'm currently doing one, and I did one in the fall. And each time I've had to go out of my way to sort of plan the course, figure out what teachers I want to do it with, get the right students, figure out the logistics behind it, and sort of do all the planning. It puts the seniors in sort of a leadership position to go about it. And a tutorial is meant to sort of replace another sort of organized class, one that the school doesn't typically offer. And these tutorials can be very different from those as well. You can meet, I've had tutorial meetings at 7 p.m. at night. I've had tutorial meetings over lunch, over dinner, any sort of combination of these things. And I find that it's a really amazing outlet for curiosity and something that I don't know if I would forgive myself if I hadn't taken advantage of it. So one really great example I have to show that is that in the fall I did a tutorial in math on complex analysis, and then this spring I'm doing a tutorial on vibrations, waves, and optics. And I had this wonderful sort of moment of synthesis at the beginning of the spring tutorial, in that we were modeling harmonic oscillations, and we found that there is a way to model these oscillations with a complex function and then project them into the real axis. And there's this sort of this profound moment when you realize that there's more going on to the world than you can see with the naked eye. And so that was a really, really amazing moment for me, one that brought not only both my tutorials together, but a lot of the knowledge that I've been amassing over my entire time at Groton. And again, you can choose to do a tutorial on whatever you like. It gives you the most academic freedom you could possibly imagine. And I'm really glad that I took advantage of it as a senior.
So veering off a little bit, I'm going to talk about Surprise Holiday. And that's the tradition where the headmaster, or Mr. Maqubela, decides to cancel class for the day. And he wears this little like green suit and a little green tie, and the senior prefects all wear green, and classes are canceled, and it happens once a term, so 3 times a year. In the winter, it gets announced the night before, so you get the nice little sleep in for the next day. And there's usually buses into Boston for the upper school, and then lower school gets to go to Cambridge or the movies, or you can just stay and relax on campus. And the best thing about Surprise Holiday for me is just the build up. And there's one year where people like to guess when Surprise Holiday will be and sort of play hooky, decide not to do homework, and just play it out. And one year, there was this one day where everyone knew it was going to be Surprise Holiday. Like everyone was banking on it. So the senior prefects hadn't announced it, and everyone sort of went into the forum, and everyone was sitting down, and they're like, we're gonna wait for them to announce Surprise Holiday. And all the teachers come out, Miss Leggett's out there, the deans are out there, and they're like, go to class, it's not Surprise Holiday. And they're like yelling at us to go to class, go to class, go to class. And then the bell rings and everyone's like, oh man, like they go to class. And I kid you not, like 5 minutes later, the senior prefects are just running up and down the hall screaming like, it's Surprise Holiday, it's Surprise Holiday. There's donuts out in the forum and everyone's like, yeah, we're right, I didn't do my homework. It was just a fun thing. And that day I went to Adaptations' house, who lives right in the town of Groton, and we just sort of relaxed a little bit, got our minds off things, and it was just a fun day, an actual surprise, and just a relaxing day.
That's awesome. I know Surprise Holiday is also one of my favorite traditions, and it's definitely one that I look forward to every term. Before I talk about my favorite tradition, Spring Fling, I wanted to touch upon coming into Groton as a new upper school student. As I said before in my introduction, I came in as a new sophomore at Groton, and Nico touched upon this a little bit, but we have a really close-knit community here at Groton, and I thought that this was very beneficial for my transition and made it seamless for me. The teachers, the students all really get to know you super quickly and super fast, and they really care about you. everyone's always reaching out and asking how you're doing, and they really do care about you, and it felt great, and it only took a few weeks for me to call this place my home, and I'm confident that if you choose Groton or plan on coming to Groton next year, your transition will be similar to mine. And switching forward to Spring Fling. So Spring Fling is a school-wide event which occurs in the spring, obviously, excuse me. And these activities may require one person from a dorm or every member from a dorm, and it involves a bunch of dorm activities, including tug of rope, an egg toss, some kind of timed puzzle or race, dodgeball, and many more. Personally, my favorite event occurred 2 years ago, where a member from each dorm was blindfolded in a blocked off area. And it's kind of similar to musical chairs. And let's say that there were 5 people representing each dorm. There would be 3 or 4 chairs located in this blocked off area. And these members would listen to the members of their dorm, giving them directions to help find the chair. And obviously it was very chaotic. And the objective was to find the chair before your opponents were to find it. And obviously, they would wind down similar to musical chairs till there was one person left, and that would be the champion. And although a champion was crowned after each event on Spring Fling, and at the end of the day, Spring Fling was a special day on campus. And to be completely honest, I have no idea who won at each event that day. Just all that I can remember was the time I could spend with my Groton family and the smiles we shared and the memories that we will never forget. So that's my favorite tradition at Groton.
Yeah, so thanks, Thomas. My favorite Groton tradition is the advisor-advisee relationship. So as my peers have said before, Groton really prides itself on the tight-knit community, and that includes faculty. And one of the ways that I've gotten close to faculty members is through my advisor. So every student entering Groton will get assigned an advisor, and every year it can change, but most people will stick with 1 or 2 throughout their entire time. So like I personally didn't mesh so well with my initial advisor, so my second year I switched and I've stayed with my current advisor until this year. And so with your advisor, you like talk to them about your course load, you talk to them about different like things going on in your life. And every Thursday, there's an advisee meeting, and that's with your entire advisory. So every faculty will have like 4 to 8 advisees. I think mine has around 9 because we're just a really big advisory. And so what I love about the advisor-advisee relationship is my current advisor is like my second mom. She is always there for me when I like need any type of support. And we also have advisee dinners throughout the term. This year we haven't because of COVID, but in a normal year you would have dinners throughout the term. And so that's when you get invited over to your advisor's house, and they just like cook you dinner and you get to spend time with your advisory. And every year my advisor likes to do the comfort meal. So that's like usually around exam week or protected period, which is similar to exam week. And she makes us dino nuggets and mac and cheese and green beans. And at the end, we'll have lava cakes and ice cream. And usually these meals last until the beginning of study hall. They'll start at 5 and end at 8 because we're just talking and having a good time and eating food. And I think, yeah, and another thing that I really like about my advisor-advisee relationship is we actually have lunch every week. So she likes to check in on me and we just like talk about random things. And it's just a really nice support system to have, especially as Groton can be difficult sometimes because of the academic rigor. And it's just nice to have someone that you can talk to that will help you through your problems and will be your biggest advocate on campus.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing those, guys. I really appreciate it. And this is an opportunity for our guests, either through the chat or the Q&A, to ask questions of the students about the traditions that they just explained and talked about, but also other traditions that you've heard about that they didn't touch upon. And again, I think this is one of our last sessions. So if there any other questions you have for Groton students in general, this is a time to ask. And I'll let the students monitor the chat and the Q&A. I did see one question in the chat about handshaking. So one of you guys want to talk about the different ways that handshaking is a tradition at Groton?
Yeah, I can take this one. So every night, each and every dorm has check-in, and at the end of check-in, we handshake with all the prefects and the dorm head just to say goodnight. But I can talk a little bit more about check-in. So check-in, like I said, is every night with the entire dorm, and sometimes the dorm affiliate or the dorm head will bring a snack, which we call a feed. And while we enjoy the food, we just kind of talk about our days, relax, and just spend time with each other. For me, check-in has always been one of my favorite parts of the day. I mean, before that, I'm usually studying or busy doing something else. So check-in is a great time for relaxation and just remembering to take time to socialize and have fun and relax. So.
I've been trying to answer some of the tutorial questions that came up in the Q&A by text, but just so everyone sees them. One person asked, for instance, whether a year is broken into 3 or 2 parts and how that worked. So just to summarize, there are 3 terms in a year. Tutorials typically last 1 term. Normal classes are typically a whole year, although you can have electives that are 1 term long. And you can actually do a tutorial that lasts an entire year, although it is pretty rare. Also, sometimes if a tutorial goes really well and a lot of people are interested in it, they'll turn that into an actual course. That happened with machine learning, for instance, this year. And tutorials are also only for seniors in terms of receiving a grade for them, but juniors are also welcome to attend tutorial meetings.
I can answer the question regarding weekend activities. In a non-pandemic year, we have usually outside vendors sometimes come in and bring game trucks or set up maybe casino tables for game nights with play money, of course. And there's actually there's a place like 2 miles from Groton known as The Point that have a wide variety of stores, restaurants, and a few other things students can do to get off campus. Certainly, they have to get permission from the deans and sign up ahead of time to do this, but there are plenty of activities to do on the weekends. There's usually some kind of dance on Saturday nights. When the weather is working in our favor, there's usually a fire and some s'mores, and you can sit around the fire with s'mores with some friends and just kind of reminisce about the week we just had and what's to come, and kind of just having a great time and making the memories that will last forever.
Yeah, just to touch on one more thing, the weekend activities are planned by the Student Activities Committee. So right now I'm one of the heads, but there are members from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th forms that also help come up with ideas. So it's really fun. People have crazy ideas, and so like if you have an idea, you can say what you want, and SAC will try hard to get it done.
I'll answer this question about recognition. So yes, there are multiple traditions for how students are recognized. Specifically for athletic awards, we hold athletic banquets after every term or every sports season, I guess in this case. And each individual coach will go around and give awards to each of their team members for different things. For instance, the coach's award, most improved player, things along those lines. We also have a award ceremony at the end of the year, which is much broader and includes awards for a whole variety of different things: community service, academics, anything you could think of that there should be an award for, there probably is. Arts are also included in that too.
Yeah, adding on to the recognition of achievements, it's not necessarily affiliated with Groton, but there are like certain companies and like organizations that the English teachers will hear about, and we'll send an all school email, And so a lot of students will submit writing and have been recognized. And that also goes for visual arts.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about roll call. So typically in a non-COVID year, after everyone would go to chapel in the morning, and after chapel there would be this thing called roll call led by the prefects, and people would give announcements. We would shout out birthdays. Teachers would also give announcements, and it was just a nice way to start the morning, get a feel for what's going on in the school. It's a lot of celebrating things for certain clubs might say we're having a meeting at 7, and or if there's like a sports team that won a championship, they'll come to roll call and show the trophy off, and it's just a nice way to get an update on what the school is doing.
Yeah, also during Spirit Week, people make announcements at roll call, and you can win dorm points for your announcements. So usually there will be a theme, like I said, and so different dorms come up with little skits or announcements for roll call, and then the Spirit heads, Thomas can speak more to this, but the Spirit heads choose which announcement was the best, and they are awarded dorm points.
Also during this kind of Spirit Week, there's a conference in the middle of the day, usually in the middle of the morning, where students have milk and cookies, and the Spirit Committee will hold kind of dorm competitions again to earn points for your dorm, and the whole school kind of watches and kind of rallies together and gets the energy kind of going for the Saturday St. Mark's battle that we're leading up to. So.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about sit-down dinner. So in a normal year, you'd have sit-down every week in the fall and spring terms. And so sit-down tables are randomly assigned, and every table has a waiter. And the waiter will be anyone except a sixth former. So that's one of the nice privileges about being a sixth former is you don't have to be a waiter. But sit down, you go, and there's also faculty there. And I personally love sit down because it's a great way to just talk with people that you probably haven't talked to, but you've seen around. And the dinner's always pretty good. And at the end, there are also announcements made by the dining hall prefects. And then sometimes there's a debate that follows, and that's run by the debate society.
I'm going to talk about chapel talks because I actually happened to give my chapel talk yesterday. So chapel talks are actually a really, really awesome thing. We have chapel for just so you guys know on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday each morning. On normal years, that's at 8:00 a.m. And for every chapel, there will be some chapel speaker. Typically, it's a student. It could also be a teacher, an alumni. It could be someone completely unrelated to campus who the school invites to come in and give a talk. And they can really talk about anything they want. There's no sort of prescribed topic or anything like that. And you really end up with a huge range of them. Sometimes it can be so just heart-wrenching that everyone in the audience is almost crying. Sometimes it's almost a comedy routine. It's kind of hard to classify what a chapel talk is because each student really likes to taper it to what they really want to do. It's a tradition for each sixth former to give a chapel talk before the end of the year, and chapel is not strictly religious, although there are prayers and we do sing hymns, although of course it's sort of meant to be inclusive of everybody.
A little bit about dress code, because I saw that question in the chat. It's actually pretty relaxed, I would say, especially with COVID. The rule used to be no blue jeans and no sweatshirts or sweatpants or shirts with profanity. But other than that, you can pretty much wear wherever you want.
Yeah, and that's only for during the school day. When you're not in school, you can wear whatever you want.
To tie that into sit-down dinner is usually a formal event. That's usually where people kind of dress up the most. That's our most kind of formal event that we do as an all school community.
So far as COVID goes, there are a whole lot of things that are different with COVID this year. If I were to go and enumerate them, we may be here all night. But I'll go over the highlights of it. Highlights. But yeah, so essentially school is generally a lot more restrictive, as it should be, to prevent the spread of COVID on campus. Every student gets tested once a week. We have to wear masks all the time. As you just saw, someone walked in with a mask into Zoe's room. We are social distanced at all times. Meals, when possible, are eaten outside or in dorm rooms or in socially distanced tables in the dining hall. You have to be back in your dorm at 7:15 at night, and you always have to have a temperature check when you go back in your dorm at night. Day students are sort of, they have to temperature check when they get to campus. We're tested week because we are sort of the most risky people on campus, since we interact with people outside. And we get a temperature check every morning before we go to school. A lot of kids are taking classes virtually this year. We have sort of hybrid setup we spent quite a bit on technology this year to make this work. There are Logitech cameras and monitors at the front of every class so that any virtual student can see exactly what's going on. They're all wide angle lenses, so they can really see everything. And we had about 60 kids doing that in the winter term out of the 380 students at this school. So yeah, I think that covers the highlights, but there's a lot going on with COVID generally.
Just a little more to add on the COVID piece. Although a lot is like changed, one thing that I think is a benefit, especially in the fall, was that lunchtime became like an hour longer. So when it was warm out, you'd see people just like hanging outside, playing spike ball in the middle of the day, and just really just taking a time to rest before finishing school off, which was one thing I found really nice.
I also forgot to mention there are no sport competitions with other schools. Yeah, just breezed over that one. This term it might be different though. We don't necessarily know about that yet.
Mr. Pomeroy, by prefect year, do you mean like being a leader as a sixth former?
Correct. Yeah, because I think Groton is fairly unique in that, where I think at most other schools, seniors are elected to positions, and not everyone's a leader in their senior year. And so I just wanted to, and you guys are experiencing that this year, where you guys are all leaders. So.
Yeah, so when it comes to being a prefect, everyone is a dorm prefect. Even day students, they'll be assigned to a dorm. And in addition to being a dorm prefect, there are a ton of clubs on campus, as well as various other positions. Like admissions is not necessarily a club, but there are admissions prefects. So it really allows for students to build up their leadership and until it's like help run the school. And in addition, we also get various forms of prefect training. So like at the beginning of this year, we had a workshop on like conversations and facilitating.
There are like such things as like chapel prefects in the morning. So when you get to chapel on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, like Nico said, there are chapel prefects there to take attendance and make sure everybody is there on time and in an according fashion. There's such thing as dining hall prefects for sit down dinner mainly, taking attendance again, making sure everyone is there on time, everyone is present, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, I think prefect is a great way for seniors to even learn more about themselves, becoming and stepping into kind of this leadership role. I'm actually a prefect of a second form dorm with a bunch of 8th grade guys, and it's been pretty interesting. I kind of feel like their older brother So it's really interesting building that relationship, and it's kind of meant a lot to me becoming this kind of prefect during the senior year. It's been a special experience.
Yeah, I also think when you're a younger student in second and third form, it's really awesome to have prefects in the dorm, people who you look up to, and people who you just admire. And so now that seniors are now in that position to be prefects and be leaders, it's really satisfying and rewarding to have these relationships with younger kids.
It's also through your years at Groton, you get to see what a really good prefect does, and you kind of get this idea for how to be one by the time you get to your senior year. And being able to figure that out once you get to that point is also something that I've found really interesting. Just to touch on another question that came up in the Q&A about school laptops, this one will be pretty quick. The school gives you the option to buy either a Dell or a Mac at the beginning of each year. The vast majority of students will go with the Mac, although some will go with the Dell. If you have used Windows before and wish to do that, then it certainly won't limit you in any way. You are also allowed to bring your own laptop. I do that. And a lot of kids will choose to bring iPads because they find it more convenient for note-taking and organizing all that, as opposed to using notebooks or anything like that. So yeah.
This is a tradition that recently came to mind when people were talking, but lip sync is also like a huge part of the Groton experience. And to describe it, it's sort of like every dorm goes to the CPAC and you pick a song that you'll sort of dance and lip sync to. And some dorms go all out with props and like choreographed dance routines. I've seen Step and some of these dorm lip syncs, and it's just really fun to see what dorms come up with, and it's like competition to see which dorm is best.
Yeah, so people are mentioning Circle Fest. And Circle Fest is one of the events that we have on the circle. And we get really big blow ups, and there's a big cookout that the dining hall does outside. And yeah, it's really fun. It's just a Saturday night activity. I think it's in the spring, right? We also have Fall Jam, which is in the fall, and I think Circle Fest is in the spring. But yeah, they're really fun. Everyone is out in the circle. Yeah.
Yeah, to talk about the packing list, I haven't looked at it in a while, but one thing that I've had since I came here was a mattress pad, like one of those foam ones. And my bed is so comfy, like highly recommend. Like there's nothing like getting to bed after a long day of school and sports and just feeling so comfy and cozy.
So just to clarify something mentioned in the chat about lower school prefects, every senior is technically a prefect in whatever dorm they are assigned to, or we also put in a list of preferences. So to some degree, we get to choose which dorm we go in. And lower school prefects are the prefects who are in designated lower school dorms. So the lower school is the 8th and 9th grade, second and third form, as we call it at Groton. And so those dorms are actually specific to each grade. So for instance, if you're in a third form dormitory, it will be all your prefects and other third formers. Same thing for second form. And then once you get to the upper school, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, 4th, 5th, and 6th form, the dorms are mixed. So you'll have fourth formers, fifth formers, and the sixth formers in the dorm. The sixth formers are still the prefects and they're supposed to be the leaders, but it's much more mixed up and sort of, you get a lot more variation with those dorms than you do in the lower school.
Yeah, so more on the packing list. One thing that I did not bring, so when I came in second form, like I said, I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, so I'm from the South. I really underestimated how cold it was in the winter. So I only brought like a Patagonia fleece. So a good jacket is 100% worth investing in. You'll use it every winter, all 4 years. So yeah.
And to add on to that, a good pair of boots.
I was just about to say that.
I also recommend bringing like a few snacks. Don't go crazy with the snacks, but just like having something that you know that you love to eat. Like I really like these like granola bar things. I eat so many of them, and it's just really nice to have.
like this is nothing crazy, but like bringing dorm decorations or like stuff for your room makes it feel like your own, and like you're gonna spend most of your time at Groton during the year, so might as well get comfortable.
So far as COVID restrictions go, it's and then how much they're meant to change by the fall, it's kind of hard to tell at this point, and it's largely dependent on whatever happens outside of Groton, what the Massachusetts governor allows us to do, all that sort of stuff. Generally, we trend on the more conservative side, and we try to be very, very careful about all COVID-related things. Um, so we'll typically be a little bit slower to open up than most other schools. Although I'm pretty optimistic. I think it will be a lot better. Obviously, I won't be at Groton anymore, but for all of you guys who will be, I think it'll be a lot better for you once you come back in the fall. But that's something that's very much still up in the air, and I can't really give you a straight answer on that yet.
Yeah, and just going off of that, Groton has done a really good job with keeping everyone safe. I think this year we've only had 4 cases total, and that was in the fall and winter, and so far in the spring. So they've done a really good job keeping everyone safe. And we slowly open back up, and it's effective. So we're really fortunate to have been on campus for the fall and the winter.
I could talk a little bit about the hockey question about the split season hockey with COVID restrictions, because I just went through something very similar to that. Unfortunately, this year, boarders were not allowed to leave campus for whatever reason, for COVID reasons. So they were unable to play split season hockey, and they were limited to what Groton had to offer here. They were able to practice every week, and we have 2 ice rinks here, so they were definitely able to develop their skills, and they didn't really miss much this year just because the whole hockey world was kind of up in flames, just like a lot of athletics this year. So yeah.
So far as athletics equipment goes and attire, the school does provide most equipment that you'll need past like undergarments and sports shirts and stuff like that. So if you need, for instance, say you play football, the school will provide helmets, shoulder pads, anything else you need for that. Likewise, say you haven't played hockey before and you want to try that out, the school will provide anything you need so you don't have to go out and spend $500 on getting a bunch of equipment for a sport that you might not play more than 1 year. So yes, I would pack your own exercise clothes, but anything more sort of specific towards any individual sport that you may or may not be trying, I think generally you will be fine.
Just to answer the move-in question, move in sometime in September, and new students come in first and have orientation, and there will be some seniors on campus just from preseason to sort of guide people to where their dorms are. In a non-COVID year, people were able to go into the dorm and help you move all of your belongings. And the first day, the first day of classes, they're all 15-minute long, and you get to know your classmates, and like the teacher gives a brief overview. And the first week is sort of just like regular school, getting used to things. But that first Saturday, I think there's a dance called Awkward Dance. And it's called that simply because like it's awkward, it's your first weekend, and like there's a certain room, I guess, in the bottom of the dining hall where we have dances, and everyone's sort of packed in there, and it's like hot and sweaty and just a good time.
Yeah, to answer the corkboard and hanging things on your wall question, in the 3rd form dorms, there's like a divider in the room, and there's like a corkboard there. But if you want to hang like posters or photos or like flags up in your room, you can either use like the mounting putty, like the sticky tack, or my roommate and I use command strips. And then some students also use like push pins. So there are multiple ways you can get stuff up on your walls.
Great.
So to touch on the, sorry, go ahead, Ms. Pomeroy.
You go ahead.
All right, this is the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, so lessons and carols. This is a close second favorite tradition for me. I have acolyted, I think, probably 4 or so lessons and carols. So it's a couple days before we leave for Christmas break, and the whole school gathers in the chapel, and it's just like one of the most beautiful services ever. Really good songs, and yeah, and there are 9 lessons, and each form officer says one of the lessons as well as some other people. So that's a really special night.
So panelists, I'm conscious of your time, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight. You guys did a fantastic job, and I loved listening to you, and I always feel so much pride to be affiliated with this school when our students present. So thank you for being here. Temba and Viola, thanks for joining us. And our guests, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight and throughout this whole process. And I hope everyone has a wonderful week. So thanks for joining us.